All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Ephraim. Today's date, November 3rd, 2022. Okay, I decided to do a lesson on this, in light, in lieu of, all the quote unquote, controversy surrounding, Kyrie Irving and even to an extent, Kanye West. I just, first of all, before I even start, let me just say this. Yes, I accept the fact that I'm a Hebrew Israelite genetically, after all my research and all that, right? And this is one of the reasons why I don't mess with a lot of different Hebrew camps and stuff, because a lot of them do spit a lot of rhetoric and things that I just do not agree with, like, at all. And one of the talking points is real popular amongst those types is claiming that the Jewish Holocaust never happened. I just think that's just ridiculously insane and just idiotic. I mean, why would you say and think something like that when clearly we have, evidence and proof to the contrary, right? Those people did suffer, and suffered tremendously under that man, that German guy. I'm not even gonna call his name. So I'm not in that realm. I wouldn't believe or disseminate something so ridiculously irresponsible. I mean, that's just stupid to me. But the flip side to that is, I say that with my empathy and understanding toward what they went through as a people, how come no one is empathetic towards what the Black Holocaust, what we went through as a Black Holocaust, on our way over here from the transatlantic, all the they say it's millions. I mean, I don't know if it's millions we lost, but I know we lost a lot of us on the way over here. And then when we got here, the treatment that we incurred under the hands of white people. I mean, I don't understand why there's no empathy for that for us. They tell us, oh, just y'all got to get over it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I mean, why I don't understand the contrast, really. I mean, I do, but I don't, if y'all know what I'm saying, right? And I'm trying to be careful here because I feel like, I don't want to come off a certain way, and I don't want them to, flag the video or whatever, but I have to teach this. We have to talk about this because, it's what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Our people suffered tremendously, and this is not to take nothing away from any people that suffered. What about the Aborigines and what they went through, right? A lot of the Canaanites and what they went through under the hands of, oppressors that colonized different parts of Africa. So it's okay that all these different races of people went through all this stuff. We can't talk about it. We can't bring it to light, right? And so that leads me here. There is a difference, and I'm going to talk about it, between those who practice the religion of Judaism and those who consider themselves Hebrew Israelites. There is a difference, okay? A lot of these things anything that I say can be backed. You can look it up. It can be backed by fact. I don't do conspiracy theories and cockamamie. I don't do that. I don't even entertain it. I got my BS repellent for stuff like that. That's why, like I said, I don't fool with a lot of so-called Hebrew, different, so-called teachers and this and that. I don't, man. Because I mean, some of the stuff they be saying is cool, but then they be on some BS. And me, I keep it scripture. You don't hear no bunch of foolishness coming out of my mouth. And anything I say out of my mouth, you best believe Dr. E can show and prove. And that's on everything I love. I'm not with the foolishness, not at all. But there's a difference, and so we're going to talk about it. So let's get it. Okay, we're going to start here. John 4:22. When Christ said, salvation is of the Jews. Now, for me, and you all can tell me what y'all think about this, but I personally think the term Jews, Israelites are interchangeable, meaning I think that the term Jews, it was what do you call it? Oh gosh, interpreted to mean Jews. But if you notice, you see Israelites. It's like I think the term is interchangeable, even with Hebrews, because a lot of people seem to think that the three are different. Hebrews, Jews and Israelites. And my thing is this: I don't personally believe that. So I take salvations of the Jews to mean the children of the 12 tribes, or the children of Jacob, the Hebrew Israelites, because Judah, well, if you're a Jew, that means you came from the line of Judah, right? But why would Christ say salvation is of the Jews when Judah is not even the Levitical priest is Levi? So that wouldn't make sense that salvation would be of Judah, because Judah is not the Levitical priest. Y'all know what I'm saying? Levi is. So, but Christ didn't say salvation is of the Levites or because basically all out of all 12 tribes, it's like, like he told his disciples, his apostles, we're all brothers, we're all the same. So I don't see how that could even, what Judah would have to do with it. Other than the fact that, Yeshua HaMashiach was supposed to come from the tribe of Judah with that David line. So I don't know, y'all tell me what y'all think on that, because I started really thinking about that. I'm thinking, well, is the terms interchangeable? Because really it would have you think that of the 12, well, actually 14 tribes of Israel, like Israelites and Hebrews being separate. I reject that notion. I think the terms are interchangeable, meaning you could use one in the place of the other. But then I'm gonna get into that too. I'm gonna come from a perspective that someone thinks the three are different: Hebrew, an Israelite, and a Jew, right? And I'm gonna go over that. But I want y'all to tell me what y'all think about that, because other than the fact that Yeshua was supposed to come from the line of Judah by way of King David, Levi is the Levitical priest, right? But he didn't say salvation is of Levi. So what do y'all think do y'all think that term Jew in John 4:22, do you think it was interchangeable with Hebrew Israelites, or just saying, standing with the children of Israel, taking up the law, statutes, and commandments given to the children of Israel, as the Most High said? He said, you will be seen as one that is homeborn if you do those things. So y'all tell me what y'all think about that. All right, on with the lesson. Okay, from the standpoint that of conversion, right? Judaism in itself is a religion. I think we'd all agree on that, right? Judaism is a religion. And there are many people throughout history now and all throughout that have converted to the religion of Judaism. Okay? Jewish is not a race. Being called a Jew is not, that's not a race. That theory has been debunked by prominent Israeli scholars, Dr. Eric Elhaik, Arthur Kessler. These men wrote books on this stuff. Being Jewish is not a race. It's a religion. Okay, it's a religion that basically anyone can convert to, right? Being a Hebrew Israelite is a birthright, right? From my perspective, not just Israelites, but being a Hebrew Israelite, the two go together for me. That's just me. Being a Hebrew Israelite is a birthright, meaning in order to consider yourself a Hebrew Israelite, you have to come from one of the 14 tribes that goes back to Jacob. Why? Because Jacob is the one that represents the covenant that the Most High made with Isaac. Right? Now, when we talk about the chosen nation that God chose or whatever, sometimes I'll mention Abraham, but Abraham is not necessary, because the covenant is not with Abraham. He told Abraham, yeah, you're going to be the father of many nations. Y'all can take that for what it's worth, right? And we definitely have many nations. But the covenant was through his seed, Isaac, right? That's what the covenant was through. And, of course, Jacob comes from his loins. So we have to stay there in terms of the Israelites. You don't have to convert to what you are naturally or what you are by that's nationhood stuff, and that's one of the reasons why the Igbos was pushing back, because they enjoy a big trade business with Israel, and they were negotiating with them coming back, because a lot of them accept that Igbos are from one of the 12 tribes, or whatever the case may be, but then they told them they would have to convert to Judaism, and and the Igbos were like, convert? Like, we don't have to convert to what we are. Like, what are you talking about? You understand? So, that's a fact. Judaism is a religion. Basically anyone can convert to that religion, right? Anyone. I believe Sammy Davis Jr. Remember the OG Sammy Davis? I believe he converted to Judaism or whatever. But you can't. The only way you can become like one that is homeborn, meaning a Hebrew Israelite, is you have to take up the laws, statutes, and commandments given to the children of Israel. That's why it's imperative that the world knows who the Jews are, because their salvation literally depends on it. Now, before I get into the other meat to this lesson, let's go over some actual facts. Okay, Harry Truman, back in 1948, recognized Israel as a state. The Most High had told us throughout prophecy that he was going to make that land desolate, and he was going to scatter the children of Israel all over the four corners of the world, or whatever the case may be. He did that. And when I did the definition of desolate, it means like no one was left. The E1B1A was up out of there, right? So, and what's true is, once the President Harry Truman recognized Israel as a state, all the descendants that's there right now today, they descended from a bunch of European converted Jews that traveled en masse to Israel to make it their home and claim it as their own. They're not from there genetically. They're not. Eric L. Hike, who's from Israel, he's an Israelite. I mean, an Israeli. He did a scholarly review, an article on this, with the blood test and all that, saying that those people that occupy Israel today trace back to the Khazars. This is a genetic fact. Now, why they can go about telling the world that they're the real Israelite, they're the children of Israel, and not want or expect anyone to check them, I don't know. But that's a genetic fact. They're not from that land. As much as they want to claim that they are, the children of Israel, they're not from there. They moved there. And yeah, they might have came on ships, but they didn't go into slavery. Them coming to Israel on ships didn't mean they was going to slavery. They don't fit the curses. That's another glaring difference about the people that occupy Israel today. They do not fit the curses, like not at all. Yes, they suffered under the German guy. Yes, they did, right? But that doesn't. But their suffrage does not allot them the right to claim, they're the children of Israel. And that's why they got a lot of pushback over the years. It's like, how y'all just come and claim this land as y'all own? And y'all got the nerve to fight the Palestinians over land that don't even belong to y'all. That's been the general consensus, right? And that's why a lot of people don't. They push back against that, because, okay, it's one thing to move. It's like, okay, if there's a country or whatever that's desolate, no one's living there, and a bunch of people kind of move there and make it their own. I mean, technically, I can't be mad at that. But at the same time, let's keep it 100. You moved there. You weren't born there. There's a difference. You're not a native. You're not homeborn, right? Like, so I don't have a problem with you moving into a place that's ready to be moved in to, but to perpetuate a falsehood that that your people was there and all this. Come on, man, like knock it off. Those current occupants of Israel today, genetically, they've been traced back to the Caucasus Mountains and as to Khazars. Okay, that's a genetic fact. Okay, so that's another glaring difference. You don't have to convert to what you are naturally or what you are by your nation. If you were born in the nation of Israel, you're an Israelite. Period, point blank. Okay, now if you moved to Israel, yes, technically you're an Israelite, right? But you're not an Israelite by birth, right? You're an Israelite. You would be considered an Israelite from my perspective by virtue of you moving to that nation. Yeah, and then that might be even a little fuzzy, because normally your nation is your nationhood is the place you was born and pretty much bred and raised, right? Where you were born at. That's your nation, right? Your nation is attached to your bloodline, right? And when I went over that a couple times, that is your nation. So, even though you move to a nation, technically, and if you're granted citizenship, you can be considered a national, right? But your true nation is always going to be where you were born, where your ancestors came from, where your ancestors were, where you descended from. That's going to be your true nation. It's one thing to get approved to be a national in some other country or some other nation, but again, that's kind of like converting, right? Because you're not from there. You're claiming the nation, but you're not from there by birth. So that's what we're looking at with the current occupants of Israel today. And like, again, I'm teaching. I'm not into rhetoric. I'm not into anti this and anti that. No, I'm into teaching the truth, the real, without all the extra foolishness and the BS or whatever. So next segment, let's get into the different terms. Hebrew, Jew, and Israel. Let's get to that. Okay, like I said, from my standpoint, the terms Hebrew, Jew, and Israelite are interchangeable. I don't see the need to separate the children of Judah from the other tribes, because they're not even the Levitical. They don't even represent the Levitical line. Levi does. Now, as far as Judah, that's the king line, right? Judah, of course. David. They said Yeshua was going to come from that line. That he represents the Davidic line, right? From that standpoint, but when he said salvations of the Jews in John 4:22, I take that to mean of the tribes of Israel, because Judah is not a Davidic line. So what would salvation of the line of Judah mean from that standpoint? If y'all know what I'm saying, but y'all tell me what y'all think as far as that. But anyway, so according to Judaism, and this is another pushback for me. According to Judaism, a quote unquote a Jew is any person whose mother was a Jew, or any person who has gone through the formal process of conversion to Judaism, just like I said before, right? It's Judaism is a religion. You can convert to that. Anyone can. You don't have to convert what your nationality is or what your true nation is. Now, supposedly the dictionary says that a Hebrew is a member or descendant of Semitic people claiming descent from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. An Israelite, a Jew. See, in that definition, definition right there, you see how it put Israelite semicolon a Jew, because they even are coming from the standpoint that the two terms are interchangeable. Meaning you can put one in place of the other, like there's no difference. That's my point, right? Okay, let's go on. It says let me do this real quick. Let me give the proper credit from this if they even have it. This is a WordPress from Answers in Torah, Messianic Judaism, Netzraim Jews, but it doesn't have who's behind this article. So that's unfortunate, because y'all know I always try to give credit and cite the source, the reference, So it doesn't have it. That's weird. It doesn't have who's behind it. But anyway, so it goes on to say that if you or I are not born from a Jewish mother, or have not gone through a formal conversion, I should have said, to Judaism, but love Torah and observant of all its precepts, and follow Yeshua as the Messiah of Israel, what are we biblically? You're Gentiles. I'll answer the question. If you didn't come from the genetic line of Jacob in any of the 14 tribes of Israel, you're a Gentile. Period, point blank. I don't care if you put what title you can put, Christian, you can put whatever you want to put on it. You're a Gentile. In a nutshell, anybody not from the loins in the genetic bloodline of Jacob, the patriarch of the 14 tribes of Israel, you are a Gentile. That's what you are biblically. Believing in Yeshua does not make you any more Israelite than one that is homeborn. The Most High told you what Gentiles have, what you have to do to be seen as one that is homeborn. You got to take up the laws, statutes, and commandments given to the children of Israel. And see, that therein lies the problem, people. Because see, Christians want to take up the laws in the New Testament. That's not what the Most High said. Y'all got to do what God said. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why a lot of Israelites reject the New Testament, because the law has already been established. And Christ said Out of his own mouth, first person, he came to fulfill the law. He didn't come to change or do away with no laws. But see, you can't tell Christians that. They got in their mind and in their heart that, if they follow Jesus, they're spiritual Israelites and all that. And it's a bunch of, it's just not true, man. It's just not true. I'm not here to rain on nobody's parade, but I got to give you the uncut, raw, unadulterated truth. Okay? If you're not from the line of Jacob genetically, and you can't reckon your genealogy as a child of Israel, you're not an Israelite. And the Most High won't see you as one as homeborn unless you take up the law, statutes, and commandments given to the children of Israel. And that whole Jewish mother stuff, again, that goes against Torah, right? The bloodline goes through the father, the man. Now, one time in Torah where you pick a scripture where the Most High tells us which female begat who, right? Why? Not because they're not important. I mean, they're very important. Jacob needed 4 females to birth out the tribes of Israel, right? But in terms of establishing and reckoning your genealogy as a child of Israel, that goes through the male. Period. So that's another difference between Judaism and being a Hebrew Israelite by birth, where Hebrew Israelites are born that. Your genetics say that you're that. Judaism, is something you can convert to. I've heard this before too. The word Hebrew was first applied to Abraham and his family when they came to Canaan. Genesis 14:13 says, "And one who had escaped came and informed Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the plains of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aneah, and they had a covenant with Abraham." The Hebrew word abar, strong H5680, means to pass over, a reference to Abraham coming from beyond the Jordan to settle in the land of Canaan. Also, the Hebrew word H5677, sometimes used as Hebrew, means a descendant of Eber, a grandfather of Abraham, the third post-Diluvian patriarch after Shem. See Genesis 10:24, 11 and 14, and Luke 3:35. Hebrew seems to mean the one who was opposed of the other side and different from all others. Abraham was a solitary believer of one God in a sea of idolatry. With time, Hebrews became a special people who lived in Canaan. In Genesis 14:15, Joseph refers to his being stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews. Also, the word Hebrew became associated with only one in the mighty God, the Most High, and they were called Exodus 7:16. The Yahweh God of the Hebrews have sent me unto thee, saying, let my people go. I don't believe his name was Yahweh. I believe Yahweh was placed there in place of his name. I believe his name to be, I am that I am, is Ahaya. I show Ahaya. The word Hebrew or Hebrews appears 34 times in the Tanakh. From Bereshit, Genesis to Jonah, and even Jonah identified himself as a Hebrew. Jonah 1:9. And Paul used it once to explain who he was. And that whole Paul being from the tribe of Benjamin, I don't believe that. I don't believe Benjamin. I don't believe Paul was from the tribe of Benjamin, because if he was really from the tribe of Benjamin, a lot of the things that he said out of his mouth he wouldn't have said, because he knows better. He knows better. Either that, or someone placed a lot of stuff in his mouth that he didn't really say, to give credence to, and truth, give some truth to it. Because if he was really from the tribe of Benjamin, especially back in those days, man, we were very adamant in our customs, our lifestyles, our culture, or whatever. Very, very strict, and we was living that life. So if Paul was really from Benjamin, man, I think a lot of people attributed things to him that just wasn't true, in the spirit of kind of trying to promote Christianity. All right, it says Abraham's grandson Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and we know that, Genesis 35:10. And God said unto him, thy name is Jacob, thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. How about that? And he called his name Israel. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Go ahead now. Be fruitful and multiply. Nation and company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. Go ahead now. I know that's right. And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land. Come on now. Man. But our people mucked it all up, y'all. Yeah, we sure did. Being stiff-necked, not wanting to do right. Murmuring and complaining. We do that to this very day. So Jacob and his descendants from that moment on were called Israelites. See, because Jacob, his name was Israel. So he's Israel. That's where Israel comes from. Even though they said, they named the land Israel, the truth is Israel is actually Jacob's name. So basically, when they say the land of Israel, they're saying the land of Jacob, basically, right? All right, let's see here. Exodus 1:7, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. I know that's right. Yeah. With this name Israel, Moses took them out of bondage into the promised land. Throughout this time, the Most High guided them into a covenant, and they became the biggest congregation of all times. Exodus 16:10 says, and it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, had they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Most High appeared in the cloud. And also the Most High to teach them Torah, the principles of how to live. Come on there. And their lives apart from other Semitic people. Now let's stop that for a minute. I've said that from day one. Being a Hebrew Israelite is the laws, statutes, and commandments. Unlike Judaism, the religion, it's a way of life. It's how the Most High wants us to live our life. What kind of foods He wants us to eat. It's a lifestyle. It's not a religion. And this right here, it verifies that. Okay. It says the Most High taught them Torah, the principles of how to live their lives apart from the heathens, basically, from the Gentiles, not just Semitic people, from the Gentiles, period. Remember, Christ told his 12 disciples to go to the city of Samaria, enter ye not. That's right. But I thought they said He came for everybody, though. I don't sound like He came for everybody to me. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. He said, into the city of Samaria, enter ye not. All right? But I'm not even going to go on a tangent with that, but that's what it is. And it says sometimes the words Hebrews and Israelites appear to be something different, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Is it something different, or is it interchangeable? Right? 1 Samuel 14:21 says, moreover, the Hebrews that were with the Philistines before that time, which went up with them into the camp of the country round about, even they also turned to be with the Israelites that were with Saul and Jonathan. See, that right, to see it's passages like that gives the impression that Hebrews and Israelites are separate. And I just don't believe they are. I mean, what sense would it make to have them separate if they all, first of all 14 tribes, either directly or by his sons, came from the loins of Jacob. So what sense would it make to put separate titles on all his seeds? They're all Israelites. All of them, all 14 tribes, all descendants of all 14 tribes are all Israelites. The Hebrew, to me, it goes, tacked on to the Israelites. I mean, technically, do we need Hebrew in front of Israelite? No, but it's not technically wrong either to say Hebrew Israelite and put the two together. But in this passage, it's appearing to make the reader believe that Hebrew and Israelites are something separate. And I've heard people repeat that. So someone out there must be really teaching that Hebrews and Israelites are separate. But I reject that doctrine. Y'all can tell me what y'all think, how y'all feel about it. But I don't see any separation at all. Okay, let's see here. It says all Israelites are Hebrews, right? Because all of them descended from Abraham, but not all Hebrews are Israelites. Oh, okay. Since only those who descended from Israel can be called Israelite. There we go. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I just said. We don't need to put Hebrew in front of Israelite, because by virtue of us coming from the loins of Jacob, who was Israel, that makes us all Israelites, but there are Semites from the different areas that were considered, like, I guess, like Hebrews or whatever, but not Israelites, because Israelites gives a unique designation to Jacob. Okay, now I'm getting there. So we are Hebrews by virtue of, coming from the line of Abraham, because Abraham was Hebrew by virtue of that. But we're Israelites based on us coming from Jacob. So you put it together, Hebrew Israelites. But see, being an Israelite can stand alone from being Hebrew. Okay, now I'm there now. I got it. Man, that's awesome. Now here they said the word Jew or Jews is a strong H3064, appears 92 times throughout the Tanakh. The word comes from Jacob's fourth son, Judah, and his descendants were called Judahites or Judeans. Later, the name Judean was shortened to Jew. Okay, it appears first in 2 Kings 16 and 6, and goes through Esdras, Nehemiah, Esther, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Daniel. And then it goes on to say, Zechariah 8 and 22 said, "Thus said Most High, the God of hosts, in those days 10 men from all languages of the nations take hold, they shall take hold of the edge of the garment of a man, a Jew, saying, let us go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you." All right, so let's go ahead and sum it up, this lesson right here. So Israel, the nation, that's literally Jacob's name. It's the land of Jacob, right? Because the Most High told him in first person, your name from henceforth will be called Israel, right? So anyone born from the genetic bloodline of Jacob are Israelites. Okay, Hebrew was what Abraham was. Now putting the two together is not incorrect, Hebrew Israelite, because we are still from the line of Abraham by way of Jacob and Isaac, you see. So putting the two together is not incorrect at all. Hebrew Israelite, that's fine. Now they're trying to say that Jew, the term Jew, is a spiritual thing, and I reject that. Jew is not a spiritual being. Because number one, Judah was not a spiritual man. Judah was a man. He also came from the loins and the line of Jacob, right? So I mean, yeah, if you look at it from that standpoint, no, not all Israelites are Jews, because we didn't come from the line of Judah. Like why are they making Judah special? Because the priestly line is Levi. So I don't understand why they maybe that's a Judaism thing, making Jews, the term Jew, somehow separate from the other Israelites. Because I mean, yeah, I don't get that. Y'all tell me what y'all think about that. But yeah, that's the general consensus and the major difference in being a Hebrew Israelite, quote unquote, by blood or genetics, and being a converted Jew. You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to being an Israelite, right? Does that make sense? You can't convert to being an Israelite. You can't even convert to being a Hebrew, because being a Hebrew Israelite means that we came from the line of Abraham by way of Isaac and Jacob. You understand? So if you didn't come from that line right there, you're not a Hebrew Israelite. Yeah, you live in the land of Israel, you can be considered an Israeli, someone who, that's the land you're occupying, but your ancestors are not from there, so you can't be an Israelite. Because that would say that you're from the line of Jacob, and the ones who occupy Israel today are not. All right, so y'all tell me what y'all think about this lesson. Hopefully I covered some stuff that needed to be covered. I did it in a respectful way. I didn't disrespect nobody, with no nothing going on. I just giving a lesson, speaking the truth to the people. So y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Until next time, this is Dr. Ephraim signing off, saying shalom, everyone.